Hi everyone, welcome to this episode of Almost Normal. I was meant to film this episode yesterday, but my friend texted me and she was like, hey, do you want to go thrifting and get mochis? Who told you my love language? Absolutely, I want to go out and get mochis and go thrifting. Like, that sounds incredible. So we went out at like 10 a.m. and I was like, okay, I'll be back for 3 and then I'll film the podcast and edit it and da-da-da-da. And then, of course, like, time escaped me absolutely and I ended up getting home at like 6. And then I was so exhausted because we were driving around the whole of LA. We went from downtown to Silver Lake to Studio City to Beverly Hills, and we were walking around a lot and it was like 100 degrees. So like I got home and I was like, fuck, like I have to film the podcast, but I'm so tired. I can't even keep my eyes open. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have like a little nap and then we're gonna get to work. And then I woke up at 10 p.m. and I really tried to energize myself and get excited about talking about something, and I just like couldn't quite get into it. And I did not want to post a shitty video that I just made last minute because I felt like I needed to keep up with the schedule. So anyway, we're here today. It's Saturday. I'm feeling much better. Not that I was feeling bad yesterday, but I was just like, I cannot focus on anything and I am just not going to be interesting if I try and talk right now. Not that I think I'm wildly interesting all the time, but like I was particularly uninspiring yesterday. I got out of bed at 10 p.m. I did my makeup and I was like, okay, let's do this thing. And I just like couldn't speak properly. So anyway, I really apologize. We're a little bit off schedule, but you know what? It's all a learning curve. It's just life. Like things get in the way and things happen and we can't be so upset with ourselves because we missed a deadline or we forgot something or whatever. Like we have to just be kind to ourselves and say it's life and things happen and it doesn't matter, and just move on and like don't let the last thing that you did affect the next thing you're gonna do. You know, that's my whole thing. Like I spend so much time beating myself up about things like missing deadlines, not reading the book for class, missing a meeting, not putting gas in my car and getting a tow truck. Like I find it so hard not to spend ages beating myself up after the fact. Like I find it so hard to just snap out of it and say, okay, that happened, it's over now, let's move on to the next thing. Like I find that incredibly difficult, and in turn I end up sort of like not ruining, but just like not enjoying the next parts of the day either. Like I'm just in such a it's so wrapped up in my head about how angry I am at myself for like fucking up something that I can't go on and enjoy the rest of the day. So in the end I just like end up ruining the whole day because of this one little thing that I did. And I'm really trying to not do that anymore. I'm trying to just like accept I made a mistake, apologize if necessary, and then like move on with my day and not spend so long being like, you are an idiot. Like, why didn't you like wake up on time, or why didn't you put gas in the car, or like, why did you say that thing? Like, I just can't live like that anymore. It's like so tiring and stressful. So I'm just sort of like, you know what? I didn't film yesterday. I went out and I was having a really nice time with my friend, and that's valuable to me. So I don't want to feel bad now because I had a good day, you know, and I just messed up one thing, but it's like, whatever. I also wanted to just address my hands. I don't know if you guys can see, but like they are absolutely scratched up. I don't even know really what that is. Yeah, I don't really know what that is, but basically I am in my ceramics class. And I hadn't done ceramics much before this, so maybe my hands are just like getting used to the materials and everything, but I was using this recycled clay in class the other day, and it's whatever, it's like much grainier than if you just buy new clay, but I was just sort of like practicing, so I didn't want to use up any resources, so I just used the recycled clay, which is basically all the leftover clay just like mixed together and then made into like a new batch of stuff that you can use. But it's like super sandy and grainy, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen someone like spinning ceramics on the wheel, but it's basically, imagine like in your microwave how it turns. It's like that, but you have a pedal to make it go faster and slower, and you're sort of just like working the clay to make a little bowl or whatever you're making. I have my hands like this and the the wheel is like spinning around and around. With the slightly grainier clay, it was like, it felt literally like it was like sandpapering my hands over and over and over again. And so I think that's probably what's happened here. It was completely orange when it first happened. I think I got like genuine clay underneath my skin and it stained my hand, but right now it just looks grazed. But I just wanted to say, like, in case anyone's like, what the fuck? Like, who did she fight the other night? Like, no one. I'm not fighting. I don't fight. I just, you know, suffer for my art. I just suffer for my creations. No, I just, like, went a little hard on the wheel, I think. And then I knew it was hurting and I kept going because I was like, I have to finish this bowl. So anyway, now I have fucked up hands, but it's fine. So today I want to say a bunch of stuff. One thing I want to say is that, and this is kind of what I said last night, but I didn't post this video because it was just not right. I was just not in the mood. But I just want to reiterate what I said, even though you guys have not heard it, but I'm reiterating it to myself. I don't like talking about things that I'm not feeling passionate towards and I'm not feeling inspired by, or I'm not genuinely interested in it, or it's like not feeling like a genuine part of my life. Like, I don't really want to talk about anything like that just because, like, it's not beneficial to you, and like I stress myself out with it because I'm trying to make conversation about something I just have no idea about, and it's like I end up making something I don't like. It feels forced, you know. I never wanted this podcast to feel like something forced. I was sitting in front of this camera and like pretending to be someone else. Like, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this podcast to feel like 100% genuine, or as genuine as one can be in front of a camera, you know. And I just wanted to be me and just talk about my life and like things that I'm going through or things that I'm experiencing or things I'm interested in. I'm probably only going to be good at talking about the stuff that I know. So I recently have, sorry, oh, I got an eyelash in my eyeball. Oh, fucking hell. How does that just like randomly happen? Ow. Okay. Recently, I have been finding myself in a little bit of like an OCD anxiety hole, and I'm feeling really quite overwhelmed by it, and I go through waves of it being really bad and then being fine, and I genuinely think that it's always kind of the same, but it just depends on how hard I'm working at it to sort of fight against the impulses, to fight against the urges, to fight against the ruminating thoughts. Like, I think my anxiety and OCD pretty much stays at the same level, but what makes it worse is when I give in to my brain telling me to do certain things, and I give in to the thoughts that it's telling me, and like once I give into it, it grows. It's like I feed it with attention kind of thing. And so sometimes I'm really good at working it. I'm really good at ignoring it, fighting back on it, saying, no, like, I'm not listening to you today. I don't care what you say to me. Like, I don't want to hear it. I'm bigger than you, and I am a physical being, and like, you can't control me. And, you know, if it's making me touch a door handle 1,000 times, like, I can just like walk away and not even start the sort of mad cycle of like repeating an action. And that's when it feels much better, when I feel like I'm on top of it and I have control. And right now I'm definitely in a space of time where I'm sort of leaning into it a little bit. I'm listening to my anxiety. I'm listening to my brain when it tells me to double check things 1,000 times. I'm listening to my brain when it says, maybe something bad happened, you know. I'm like fully in a relationship with it at the moment, and I'm sort of not giving it my all to fight back, and I don't know why, and it happens, like, it goes up and down, and I don't quite know what causes me to want to just really like be like fuck off to it, and then what causes me to just sort of be like complicit with it and like, okay, like, yes, I will do that, you know. I have been going through a bit of a going along with it phase at the moment, and it's so hard. Anyone who has ever experienced OCD knows or like any type of anxiety really, like knows that if you start letting it win, like it will overtake your mind. It'll overtake every thought that you have. It'll overtake literally everything you do. Everything that should be fun, you get anxiety about. Everything that should be good, you get anxiety about. Hanging out with my friends yesterday and having a wonderful time, like I had anxiety about that. Like, why? Going out for my friend's birthday dinner the other night, I had anxiety and I had to go home. Like, it's like fully like engulfing me at the moment. And so it's really, really hard to concentrate or do anything else other than try and survive with it. I genuinely just feel like I am just trying to get through the day without having a nervous breakdown. And like once I get to bed and I didn't have a nervous breakdown, like that's a successful day for me. And it's like really hard to get work done. It's really hard to socialize. It's just like, it makes everything so difficult. So I've kind of found myself not wanting to talk about anything but my mental well-being. And if I'm totally honest with you guys, I'm fucking bored of hearing myself talk about it. Like, I am bored of hearing myself, you know, discuss nothing else but how my brain is doing. And I feel like when I talk about it too much, I'm like giving it a platform, you know? And I'm doing what it wants. I'm like giving into it and I'm talking about it and I'm aware of it, but I still know that I'm allowing it to control me. So I, for the past like few weeks, have been really dealing with it, and I just can't get myself to put in the work to think about something I'm interested in that I want to talk to you guys about, like a book or a painting or a fun night out with my friends that went awry. Like I'm not really doing anything to get those experiences in order for me to talk to you about them. And I'm also just not thinking about anything other than just like surviving the day. And so that's like another kind of reason I was a little bit late with this episode, is because yesterday I was tired when I got home, but I was also just like overwhelmed by anxiety and I just like didn't want to talk. You know, I just wanted to lie in bed in silence and listen to Peep Show, which is like this TV show that I watch constantly. I've watched each episode about 100 times, but I just have to have it always playing. Like when I'm feeling anxious like this, I have to have it playing like constantly all the time, no matter where I am. And I just couldn't have silence, and I just like could not sit down and have a proper conversation with you guys. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I am starting to feel much better. I have thrown myself back into the Alcoholics Anonymous program. I've gotten a new sponsor with AA. The whole thing of it is community and like serving others and getting yourself out from yourself, like getting your thoughts away from selfish thoughts. And my anxiety is absolutely selfish. My anxiety is completely egotistical, you know? I'm just worrying about myself the whole time. Like, my anxiety is never like about someone else. My anxiety is always about myself. Even if my anxiety is like, oh, what if this person gets sick? Like, the genuine fear I'm feeling is not really about them. It's more about like how I'm going to feel about that happening to them. Do you know what I mean? I'm just like, when I'm anxious and like I can feel my OCD coming out, like that's when I know I am being selfish and I am being self-serving and just can't stop thinking about myself. And that's really all there is to it, honestly. Like, when I find myself in the program and I'm talking to newcomers, people who are new in sobriety, and I'm trying to be of service by like taking a commitment at a meeting, and I'm thinking about other people, basically. If I'm thinking about other people, like my anxieties just like really, really start to dissipate. And yes, they are there, but nothing along the lines of like what I have been dealing with recently. Anyway, I've been throwing myself back into AA. I just had a meeting this morning. It was lovely. I just got a commitment, and it was just so nice to be there and be in a community of women who feel the same way, understand me, and allow me to see the world in a perspective that I forget about, allow me to see that other people have problems and other people are dealing with stuff, and my problems are probably not actually that big compared to other people's. And it's like such a relief to get that time with like-minded people and to just sort of like forget about yourself for a while and just forget about your own problems and just think of others. It's like a relief on the mind. In a way, like thinking of others and like being a service to others is like kind of selfish because it just makes me feel so much better. It's like unexplainable. It's unexplainable. The difference in my mentality when I'm like out with other people and I'm trying to like help them feel good. And that's why I love this podcast as well. Like I love talking about stuff that affects me and having people comment or send me messages saying like, wow, thank you so much for sharing. Like I experienced the same thing. Like it's such a wonderful feeling and it makes my heart warm. And yes, probably it is a little bit selfish because it's like, it makes me feel so good. I just want to say, I just like don't want to talk about my mental illness anymore. But the reason that I feel like I'm stuck on it a bit is because I am just going through it and I'm just finding it hard to think about anything else at the moment. So I really am putting in the work. I'm staying extra hours at school to get work done, so I'm not just like sitting at home. I'm going to meetings. I'm like making sure I'm there for my friends. I'm available. I'm not too busy just because I want to like sit in bed and watch movies. Like that doesn't mean I'm busy. Like I can go and see a friend if they need me. I'm just doing all that stuff and it is genuinely making me feel much better, which is probably why I'm able to sort of like breathe a little bit in this podcast episode. I don't know, like the last episode I posted, I was just like very much wrapped up in the OCD of it all and just feeling very like self-centered and like I don't want to feel that way. What I kind of wanted to talk about the most today actually was gratitude. Why did I say that like that? Is gratitude. Is gratitude. Having gratitude. When I'm feeling anxious, I am not grateful for anything. I am irritable. I'm discontent all the time. I don't care what I have. I am just constantly thinking about what I do not have and like what other people have that I want. And it's exhausting and it's boring. It's so boring to constantly be like, oh, I wish I had that, or like scrolling through Instagram like, oh my god, I wish I looked like her, or I wish I did that, or I wish I had these followers, or like, god, I wish I had that money, or whatever it is. Like I wish I made that kind of art. Like I have that sometimes. I get jealous of like people's like art making skills. It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. That's when I lose touch of everything that I have and everything that I should be extremely grateful for, because I am like the luckiest girl in the world. You know, I have love. I have a roof over my head. I have money to eat. Like, I am one of the luckiest people in the world. Like, there's nothing I'm missing at all. Literally nothing. Like, I have friends and family who love me, and I am able to love them back. And so when I start obsessing over, like, material things or, like, physical, like, aesthetics or anything like that, like I become like a nastier person. I feel like I become like not that nice because I'm just always like resentful and like angry that I don't have all this stuff that I want, and I'm totally overlooking like everything that I have, and I'm like looking like an absolute spoiled brat, and like I don't want to feel that way anymore. And I went into the meeting today, and in this particular meeting they sometimes talk about like certain topics. They're like, okay, we're gonna today discuss like resentments, or we're gonna discuss making amends, or like anything like that. And today's topic was gratitude. And I was like, okay, seems a bit like you're just talking to me there. Like, you know, because I have been feeling so ungrateful. It is not cute. It is not cute. Like, they called it in the meeting, this woman was talking, and she called them Cadillac problems, which I thought was quite funny, which is like, they're not real problems. Like anything that I wake up and like am concerned about, it's not really a real issue. In the grand scheme of things, like it's not. It could be dealt with, you know. It could be sorted out, you know. Like I'm physically able to make changes in order to feel better about the things that are going wrong in my life, which is like nothing. She was saying that there are these two people that have been sent to the moon and don't actually know when they're going to be able to come back because, I don't know, I guess somehow they got stuck up there. And she was like, yeah. And so I don't really have any problems compared to that. Like that's a problem. You could probably wake up with some anxiety and feel like it's deserved at that point when you're like stuck in space and like the food is dwindling. But I was just like very, very inspired by this meeting, because it just, sometimes I go into these meetings and I feel like they're saying, they've like read my mind and are saying exactly what I am thinking, and it's crazy. Also in this sort of generation, this lifetime, like we have access to constantly be looking at other people's lives, and we have access to constantly be comparing ourselves to other people, and we do it because we have access to it. It's so easy. We just open our phones and we can see someone else's perfect life that we don't have and just feel shitty about it and start to overlook like everything that we do have, like family, friends, health, and all of that. And I think that it's really important to sort of remind yourself to like bring it back in and remind yourself everything that you have and how lucky you are compared to other people in the world. Something I like to do is I like to write a gratitude list. I think it's really interesting to write a gratitude list because you start to come up with things. You kind of go through your day, or like if you write it in the morning, you can think about the previous day, but you kind of like think about your day and you wake up, like you're like, okay, I woke up, what did I do? Like I had a shower. I take showers for granted. Not everyone is able to have a shower. Not everyone has access to running water like that. Like that is something you should be grateful for. Even before that, I woke up and I got out of bed. I have a bed that I woke up from. And I got to sleep safely in my home. Like, not everyone has that. And so, like, that's something you should be grateful for. And that's something I take for granted. Absolutely. I just get out of bed and I get on with my day. Like, I'm not considering how lucky that is to have that. So it's just, I sort of like to go through my day. I even sometimes just go through my morning because, like, it's interesting to see how much I take for granted that I have and use before the time of like 10 a.m. I made a little list here and it's just like, God, it's made me feel so much better just writing this down and just being like, I'm absolutely one of the luckiest people in the world that I have all of this stuff. It's just really nice to see it, you know, on paper and just understand all of this stuff that I have that I just look over, I take for granted all the time. So I made a little gratitude list here. I wrote 10 things down. You can write as many things as you want down. I could have kept going, but anyway, my number one thing was my health. Like, so lucky that at the moment I'm feeling good and I'm feeling healthy and I'm, you know, able-bodied and I'm able-bodied enough to help other people who may not be feeling so good. Number two was my sobriety. I literally couldn't be doing anything without it, and that's something that I've kind of gotten used, I've not gotten used to being sober, but it's something in my life that like I've had for a while now, and so it's pretty easy for me to just sort of not even consider that as something to be grateful for, but it's like, I'm so grateful for it. I'm so grateful that there are meetings and women and people I can go to that like feel the same way. Like that doesn't have to happen. I'm not like when the world began, like AA meetings didn't exist. Like someone had to put in the work and come up with the concept, and I am able to live in a world and an age where that already exists for me to use. Like I'm very, very lucky that I have that. Okay, so number three, I said coffee. A delicious cup of coffee is literally what gets me up in the morning. Is literally what gets me out of bed. Like, just knowing that I will soon be able to drink this, like, warm, delicious drink that I kind of only feel okay drinking in the morning, like, that is probably one of the things that, like, makes me excited for the day, you know? And it's just become such a habit of mine now that I overlook it so much. Not everyone gets to enjoy, like, a warm cup of coffee in the morning. That is a luxury. That is not a right or anything. Like, I am lucky to be able to enjoy that. That's something I absolutely take for granted. Absolutely. Like, I'm not like, wow, I'm so lucky I get to drink this every time. Like, absolutely not. I order it, I drink it, I enjoy it, and then I move on. Like, I don't take the time to think, like, it's such a wonderful thing that I'm allowed to enjoy this. Anyway, okay. Number 4 is my warm bed. I kind of mentioned that earlier in the video, but like being able to wake up safe and go to bed safe, and be warm and out of, not having to be concerned about the weather, whether it's going to rain or not. Am I going to have a good night's sleep? Like, is my stuff going to be stolen in the morning when I wake up, like, because I'm sleeping somewhere unsafe? Like, I am so lucky that I don't have those worries and problems, that I don't have to go to bed every night panicking and wondering, like, what's it going to be like when I wake up, Am I going to get a good night's sleep? Am I going to have silence? Am I going to be safe? Like, these are things that I don't even have to think about because I'm just used to it, and I should be so grateful for that. Like, I do often think, like, if I didn't have a home, if I didn't have somewhere to be safe, like, I mean, that for me sounds like the scariest thing ever. So to sort of have it and to use it and to enjoy it and to not consider it as like one of the most lucky things in the world to have, like, would be ridiculous, Imagine if I didn't have a bed in a home, and I had to figure out where to sleep every night in a different place, somewhere, that I didn't get kicked out of the night before, whatever. Like, to not have to worry about any of that stuff is like absolutely incredible. To not have to just be able to go to bed soundly and to wake up soundly, and whatever anxieties I have are very much like internalized in my head, but like I'm not worrying about these things that are genuine worries to other people that are like not that far away from me right now. Okay, so and then I did 5 loving friends, but I also did 6 loving family. Like, that goes without saying. I'm just absolutely lucky to have friends and family that love me, and to have friends and family that I love, and to have people still around after, I've made multiple mistakes and I've disappointed people and I've been rude and ungrateful and unkind, and to have people still by my side, and to have them like allow me to ask for forgiveness and to like make amends, and just to be given a second chance with a lot of these people is like, I'm so lucky. So that is something I'm just really grateful for, and without them I would be so lonely. And like, I think that I kind of like brush off the fact that I have a family and friends. I'm like, everyone has family and friends, but like, no, that's not true at all. Not everyone does. Like, not everyone is lucky enough to have people around them that they love. Like, how can I say, oh, everyone has that? Like, it's not really something to be grateful for. Like, that is just such an ungrateful thing to say. Number 7 is nature. I find that I'm not a religious person by any means. I was never brought up religious. I'm not a religious person. My mom, I think, like, went to a nunnery, but like, she grew up in Buffalo, New York, and her parents were very, very religious. They went to church. My grandparents went to church all the time. But my mom became a supermodel in New York City and Paris, and like was like out, and was not going to church. So I did not grow up religious at all. But I think that as I've had more time in sobriety, and I've been able to sort of understand that I'm not the biggest, most important thing in the world. Actually, like, there's so much more going on around me that is much more important than me. I've come to understand that there is probably something spiritual going on. Like, I'm in awe of everything in nature, everything that was there before me, and everything that'll be there once I'm gone. I just find very fascinating, and it allows me to sort of take myself out of myself and like understand that the world is such a big place, and that there's so much going on, and I'm not the center of the universe, and the universe is like, I'm a blip in the whole situation, and to feel that and to like understand that is very relieving. You would think that it makes you feel depressed, but personally for me, like, it's the most relieving feeling to know that like, I'm not the most important thing in the world. If I make a mistake, it's not detrimental. Like, it's okay. We can move past it. Like, I'm not the most important thing happening right now. Like, look at the trees, look at the birds, look at the ocean. Like, these things have been here forever. Before I was here, after I was here, they will continue no matter what I'm doing and no matter, like whatever. So I think just having something to remind myself that like I'm not the biggest thing out there is a very relieving, comforting thing. So I'm like so grateful to have that, to be able to look out my window and see trees and birds and whatever and squirrels and just things that like are integrated in our lives so much, but just like have completely different priorities to us. Like they just want to survive and thrive, and we as humans fill ourselves up with like all of these worries and concerns and like things that we want and things that we don't have. And like a tree doesn't feel that way. A tree just like wants to survive. It wants water and sun, and that's it. Like that's all it's asking for. So I put nature is important. Get a bit sweaty around my nose. Okay, number 8, I put school, because I have really been stressing out about school recently, and I just feel like I'm sort of getting a bit of a negative vibe from it. I mean, it's from myself, the negative vibe, but like I'm having a negative vibe towards school, because I'm like, oh God, there's so much work to do, and like I have to do all these classes, and I have this show, and it's like, fuck, like when am I going to be able to like enjoy myself? Like, Jesus Christ, like I still have like a year and a half to go, like complain. And I am like so extremely lucky to be at school, to be able to go to school and to be able to go to art school at that, like, that is a privilege like no other, and I am lucky to be there, and I am extremely lucky to be busy with schoolwork, and that is definitely not something I should ever be taking for granted, and I should not be spending my time complaining about it because it's like too much work. It's just like, no, like you are like, what a privilege to be able to go, and what a privilege to be able to say, oh, I'm so busy with schoolwork. Like, what a lovely thing to say. I had a time in my life where I was doing absolutely nothing except drugs and drinking, and like I had all the time in the world. I was completely free all the time, and it was horrible. And like now that I'm like busy, it's like, oh God, now that's not good enough, and it's just, So I put school. And 9, painting, I put because I just feel very lucky that I'm, have time to paint. I'm reading these books for my ceramics class, and one is Saving Time by Jenny Odell, and another one is How to Do Nothing, also by Jenny Odell, and she just talks about how important it is to have time to like do exactly what you want and not be doing anything under a pressure of like someone else's needs. And I just think that those books have really allowed me to consider like how important it is to rest when it comes to being productive, and like actually just like churning out work and making things all the time is not the only way to be productive. So anyway, I'm very lucky that I live a life that I have time and I can spend it doing the things that I like to do. And then number 10, I did Peep Show, which is that TV show I was just talking about, because like it is my anxiety TV show. The voices soothe me and they fill the silence, and I am so grateful that they made that TV show. Absolutely love it. If you haven't watched it, it's like extremely dry British humour, but I think maybe you might enjoy it a little bit. It's kind of interesting for everyone. But anyway, that was my gratitude list of the day. I highly suggest, if you're feeling like angry or you're feeling you don't have all the things that you want, like I highly suggest writing a gratitude list. It really puts everything into perspective, and like just as you write the words, it allows you to like think about them and really consider them, when usually we just sort of like wake up and just like do the thing, or have a shower, or brush our teeth, or call your mom, or things that we just sort of take for granted. Like these are things that some people don't have. So it's really nice to sit down and then just like see everything that you're thankful for. It's really helpful. So anyway, that was mine for today. Maybe I'll like read you my gratitude lists in the podcast, because I don't know, it's nice to talk about it. But anyway, I feel like I've been rambling on a little too long today. But I don't know. I just feel very excited today. I feel very happy. So just wanted to hang out with you guys. But anyway, I'm probably going to go now. And that's another thing, actually. I was about to say I have to go and bring my jeans to the thrift shop. I should be able to say, oh, I get to take my jeans to the thrift shop. I think that's something one of my sponsors said. And, every time you say, oh, I have to do this or I have to do that, you replace the word have with get. It's like, oh, I get to drive my car to school. I get to go to the doctors and I get to have medication to make me feel better. Like, I get to do all of this stuff. So we're going to try say that instead of I have to. Especially for something like, oh, I have to bring my jeans to the thrift store. Like, that is literally my own decision to do that. So I get to bring my jeans to the thrift store right after this. Yeah. But I love you guys so much. And I hope I said something of value today. And if not, like, again, always next week. I'm like slowly getting out of this funk, and I'm starting to feel really, really good and I'm really happy. But it's going to take a second, and I don't want to like put out any content that is just like what the hell is that kind of thing. So yeah, I just wanted to, if it meant posting a day late, I'm okay with that. I'd rather just be slightly off schedule than put something out there that I don't really want anyone to listen to anyway. Like, what is the point in that? It's a podcast, like, purely is made for people to listen to. So anyway, I love you guys very much. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Super important to me, and it should be super important to you because you can see every time I post anything. But I really love you guys, and yeah, I hope I said something that you can take away from this and feel good about. But again, if not, always next week. I love you guys, and I will see you next time. And if you can, just like write a quick gratitude list. Honestly, it takes 3 minutes, and it kind of like improves your day at least by 10%, and who doesn't want that extra 10% of happiness? So anyway, I love you guys. I'm gonna go, but I'll see you next time. And yeah, thank you for watching, and bye. Okay, love you. Bye.